What secret was revealed when cleaning out the home of a deceased family member? Cleaning out my grandpa's apartment, we found different pieces of a handgun scattered around. He struggled on and off with depression, and apparently he did it so that if he was thinking about suicide, he would have to go find all the parts and give himself time to talk himself out of it. My dad kept a handwritten note in his wallet containing my mom's old address, phone number, and directions to her house from when they first started dating in the 70s. He had moved it from wallet to wallet over the years. He just died this past March, and that was one of the first things we found. My dad was in hospice at home for a couple months before he died of lung cancer, and when I went to clean out his house, I found that he had already sorted and packed away most of his personal treasures in couple storage bins. It was heartbreaking all over again, thinking of him sitting there packing up his own life, knowing it was coming to an end. That my dad hid money all over the house, not huge amounts mind you, but 60 here, 120 there. Felt like a bit of a scavenger hunt when we were cleaning out his stuff. He was always a bit of a sneakily generous guy, always gave me and my brothers a secret handshake with money tucked in his palm when we'd go back to school after a weekend home, etc., so wouldn't be surprised if he'd done it intentionally. Made us smile every time we found some. I think the final total was somewhere around 800. This isn't cleaning out their home, but when my husband died a few years ago, I found several notes, letters he had scattered in various places around our home, written to me in advance. He had terminal cancer, knew he was dying. Some were marked open when you can't stop crying, open when the holidays are too rough, open when you have to put one of the cats to sleep. They didn't contain any secrets, but they are heartbreakingly beautiful. Cleaning out my grandparents' house after they passed away. We found a booklet on sexual anatomy, a penis eraser, a penis that my grandma had crocheted, and there were walnuts in the nutsack, and a drawing my grandpa did of my grandma wearing nothing but a feather boa. Grandpa did drawings of the faces of the people he killed in WW2. Nobody knows why, but my grandma said he had a lot of guilt over the things he saw, so my guess is he didn't want to forget them or didn't feel like he should be allowed to forget them. That my father committed suicide and did not die of a heart attack. That he was a cop under investigation for theft and took the quick way out. That the city paid my mother $2,400 for the wrongful death of my father in 1979. We cleaned out my grandparents' home and we found a letter from my sister to Grandpa. I hate the new baby. All she does is cry, cry, cry. She is a crying witch. That baby was me. Thanks, sis. My dad passed away in 1994. I was 28. While going through his safe, I found some adoption papers. While reading through them, I got excited at the prospect I might have a brother out there somewhere. I was raised as an only child but couldn't understand why my parents never told me that they'd adopted a child but never told me. After rereading them, I realized that they papers were about me. After confronting my family about this, turns out everyone, family, close friends, I mean everyone, knew I was adopted. Except me. That was a fun day. I found a hidden .38 revolver in my late stepfather's bookshelf. Every bullet in the gun had the name Steve written in Sharpie. No one had ever heard of him. They found out my grandmother lied about her age to her second husband. Keep in mind this was the 1940s. Her age on her marriage license was 6 years younger than she actually was. Found my grandparents' wedding certificate, which didn't match the date everyone else had. Their original date was 9 months before my aunt was born. The certificate was dated about 5 months before she was born. Food from 1970. They died in 2006. Grandmother climbed Mount Rainier, in WA, in a woolen skirt. Summit and all. My nan had about a platoon's worth of American service men's photos tucked away. Edit, oh god, 3K for my nana being a shack rat. Edit 2, I'm so sorry nan, but way to go. My 97-year-old uncle had a very decent pot stash and pipe collection. My step-grandma had been married 5 more times than she told my grandpa she had been. He was her 9th husband, not her 4th foot. A family friend 50s was moving stuff from his mother's storage locker after she passed, opened a box of documents and inside was his adoption papers. He was adopted. Turns out his aunt, who was significantly younger, had a teen pregnancy, and to avoid controversy at the time, the newly married older sister just adopted him. Not really a secret, but cleaning out my gay brother's sex toy collection in front of my father wasn't a lot of fun. Grandma had multiple cats in freezers. My mom learned her dad has another family. We met them a few years ago. My parents got divorced almost 50 years ago. When I cleaned out my old man's place 30 years later, he had a written out accusation that my mother cheated. I know who he referred to and was probably right. My old man was pretty hard to take most of the time, so the divorce wasn't a shock. My mother cheating doesn't seem much of a surprise, but that he kept this in writing was. I'm guessing it was his last blame volley from beyond. My great-grandmother was one of survivors from a religious persecution in my home country. She hid an old English Bible, translated Bible, all handwritten in my native language, blood-stained English dictionary, really old and bad Conditon, cross pendants, and etc. A group of researchers paid my grandmother for the handwritten Bible. It was a pretty interesting material for researchers to study my native language around late 1800s. She did not want her children to be punished because of her action at that time, so majority of my family did not know about it. My wife's bio-grandfather was a career Air Force Master Sergeant. He passed and he got roped into helping clean out the house. We found porn. So much porn. Knee-high mountains of porn mags in every cabinet we could reach. And it wasn't classic stuff from his service days. There were mags that were dated only a few months before he died. The subscriptions were current. I learned a lot about my grandma's daughter from a previous marriage that she never talked about. She kept a showbox full of letters and pictures. I had a falling out with my father when I was 21. Fast forward 18 years when died, and I found stacks of pictures, notes, and articles about me. My stepmom said he was always proud of me, and didn't know how to say he was sorry. Grandfather worked on the Manhattan Project as a master machinist. We didn't know until he passed away in 1993 when we found various specifications and directives written to him by Oppenheimer, Femi, Teller, and General Groves. We all secretly knew he had thousands of dollars in cash hidden in his house. What we didn't know was how much, and that each of us knew of different stashes. The one I knew about had about $9,800. While cleaning out his house, we discovered a total of $160,000. It was a helluva Easter egg hunt. My uncle didn't die of brain cancer, which was communicated to the family. He died of HIV. He was gay, he was madly in love with his partner, and because his immediate family, his partner was not allowed in the hospital to say goodbye. I inherited some of my uncle's things. In it was a large stack of love letters from his partner. They were so in love, and hid it from everyone. It hurts. My grandmother hid $5,000 cash in her vacuum cleaner. Good thing I opened it to change the bag before I donated it. She also had a kitchen drawer completely full of the rubber bands from her daily newspaper delivery. Nothing else but those. My aunt had been engaged decades before her death. The engagement was called off because he cheated on her. When she died, we have dozens of letters and cards he had sent her over the years. He apparently never stopped writing trying to get her back, and she never told anyone she was getting these letters. My mother and her siblings found her still in my 91-year-old great-grandmother's cellar. She always grew a huge potato crop. My little old Polish great-grandmother was making vodka apparently. Our single 62-year-old uncle died in the mid-1970s, and when our mom and her sister went to clean out his apartment, they found mass quantities of hardcore pornography. His bedroom was decorated like a young girl's, think Montgomery Ward's French provincial canopy bed suite. and the mattress had a hole bored into it about waist high. My brothers had to maneuver said mattress down 3 flights of stairs, so their recollections of our Uncle Bunny have become hysterical family lore. Elderly aunt had a hidden room with staircase to basement area no one knew about. She and her son had a meth lab. This was in the 90s in Philly. Blew us all away. We all knew this one uncle had a second family. We expected drama at the funeral. No one was expecting his third family to show up. Wife. 3 kids. This new family knew the rest of the family by name from pictures. How we are all related, names, hobbies. That was a wildly bizarre experience. Helped my friend clean out her uncle's place when he died. A closet in his bedroom contained massive amounts of gay porn film, magazines, photos, etc., along with boxes of dildos and other toys. If he was gay, he never told anyone. He had been married to a woman and divorced, then lived alone ever since. Friend and I had to clear the space out so all that stuff was gone before my friend's dad, the dead guy's brother, got there to help us. My grandmother was secretly using medical marijuana. She asked me to help her get her card, and I took her to the dispensary when she wanted to go. The rest of the family found out when she passed away, when they found some edibles in her nightstand. Miss her every day. Nan was rich AF. She left 90 of her money to a dog charity. Didn't bother me, but my cousins still haven't got over it. My brother found giant pickle jars of coins, mostly pennies, in our grandpa's garage. Turned it into cash and it was nearly $400. He took everyone helping clean that day to my grandpa's favorite restaurant for dinner. I found my great-aunt's suicide note from the 80s that she wrote after her fiancé drowned in front of her. She didn't kill herself, but none of us knew how low she had gotten alcoholism. It was my cousin and that he was gay. Everyone suspected it, but nobody said anything about it beyond that he had a bad breakup when he was young with a woman and that made him a bachelor for the rest of his life. The big stack of men-themed magazines I found in his closet suggested otherwise. When sorting through my grandma's affairs after she passed, my father found that my uncle had been stealing from her bank account and racking up debt around $18,000 on her credit cards, gambling online. To make it worse, he was doing it while she was suffering from dementia. My father, who was almost 70 at the time, was basically forced to take out a mortgage on my grandma's house that my grandparents paid off back in the 70s. He's always been a bit of a scumbag, but that was sickening. That my sister was about to leave her boyfriend. Never married, no common law, but together like 14 years. She found out he was cheating, had other kids he was paying child support on, and he was abusive. Also found out my parents are okay with that and even enabling him. I've cut them out of my life. For that and other reasons. A family member was helping clean an in-law's house, and they found 2 wooden, homemade, strap-on penis replicas, left there from the elderly previous owner. They went to the dump immediately. I didn't see them, but I always hoped they had been sanded smooth. My mom didn't hide stuff, but 2 years after she died I found a piece of her favorite gum in a pocket. It was really sweet. Miss you, Mom. My dad had a sizable collection of bisexual porn hidden in his workshop. I discreetly got rid of it. That did explain a lot about a few of his friends, though. Note to self. Sell dragon dildo collection before dying. My nana had 24 unopened tubes of toothpaste in a drawer. Don't know what that was about. My grandfather had strap-on dildo hiding under his bedroom bureau drawer. My dad and I found them, looked at each other and then busted up. Also found about $3,000 in gold coins. I now have a box that is marked "Do not open if I am dead." Cleaning out my nana's wardrobe I found my papa's false teeth. He had died about 20 years previously. Oh, and also about 8 pairs of tartan trousers.